Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be talking about my ride, the 2015 Kawasaki Vulcan S. That's not what it looked like. I'll put in some pictures while I'm doing this video to show you what it did look like when I first bought it. This part of the video is going to be very quick. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about everything I've done to this bike. I will point things out. However, let me know in the comments if you do want a full detailed breakdown of everything that I did and its cost. I'll make a whole separate video just for that alone. But this is just to introduce everybody to my bike right now as the way it currently sits. So real quickly, some bare bones facts about this bike. When it was new in 2015, its MSRP was $6,999. The engine is a 649cc four-stroke parallel twin, boasting 61 horsepower and 46 feet-pounds of torque. 6-speed transmission. Its wet weight is 496 pounds. Seat height of 27.8 inches and a fuel tank of 3.7 gallons. For reference, I am 6'2", 240 pounds, and a 33-inch inseam from crotch to floor. And when I bought the bike back in August 7th of 2021, I bought it for a base price of $5,950, and it had 12,042 miles on the clock. So, from front to back, I'll go through and show you what I've done. All the lighting on this bike was straight up regular halogen in front. In fact, the turn signals still are, because I haven't figured out what to do with them. One of the bad things about Kawasaki branding is that they don't have a whole lot of aftermarket support. They have some, but not a lot. But with that being said, moving on. These lights did not come on the bike. However, they are Kawasaki original equipment lighting. I had to get that added on. This is a Matte Gecko LED headlight. Most people will change it to a round. I really dug the unique shape of the Kawasaki light, so I kept that and just got a plug and play LED replacement. This windshield, this windscreen, that is an original, again, OEM Kawasaki part. And I did put that on there because the windscreen that was with the bike when I bought it was a complete failure, as it directed the wind right under my helmet, and every time I rode on the highway I felt like I was in the boxing match with Mike Tyson. Wasn't great. RNG Adventure provides the aftermarket crash protection or slide protection. I've already used it once doing some parking lot maneuvers. There's a little bit of a scar. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. And you know, it's adequate. It does what it's supposed to do. Don't particularly care for the shape of it because I can't really add highway pegs to it. Not the kind that I would like anyway. So, yeah, it is what it is. Moving on. Phone mount. I dig this phone mount. It's from a company called Quad Lock. You can get one with, like I've got, with a little vibration dampening. Moving on from the Quad Lock. Right here, you'll see a switch and these grips. And where are they at? Well, let's check out over here. Wiring. That's a set of heated grips. Those are aftermarket. This bike doesn't come with any such thing like that. Coming into the dash. This is the stock instrumentation cluster. That's the way it came. This DC adapter and this gear shift indicator, that didn't come with it. Again, those are Kawasaki parts. Got it from the parts and accessories catalog of Kawasaki, and we had those put on. The DC adapter I got so I could charge my phone. The gear shift indicator I got so it wouldn't look funny. Don't really need the gear shift indicator. It's nice, but I got it just so the dash would stay symmetrical in its appearance. That's all. That's really it. Moving back to the seat. The stock seat was horrible, absolutely horrible, as most stock seats are on motorcycles. So I got a Corbin aftermarket, and it's a bit better. It's not a complete fix to my uncomfortable bum, but it is better. Moving back even further, these shad saddlebags have been amazing. It did come with saddlebags. They were a pair of ratted out leather Viking bags. They were garbage. These shad hard bags are awesome. A lot bigger and just really fit the lines of this particular bike better. The only thing I don't like about those is the back end slants this way. I wish it slanted the other way and flared out back towards the rear tire. Beyond that, I can't really complain. It is what it is. This back rack added on, got it from Amazon, no big deal there. Yeah, I got it because I thought I was going to be carrying a lunchbox more than I actually am. It looks weird. I don't know how long I'm going to keep it there. It has come in handy, so I might just keep it there. Finally, the back end here. This is my license plate. There used to be a big black thing that housed the rear tail light, and the rear turn signals came out that way, and they were the same bulbous design as the front turn signals. However, I did not like that. It looked like a big saggy diaper back there. So I went to Amazon and got this chrome glow LED light strip. It doesn't look like much right now, but at night it really is amazing. But my wife, following me one day, said she couldn't really see the turn signals that well. So I added these Curiacon micro dots, and those are like staring into the sun. You definitely see those. And that's it. Those are the mods and the things that I've done to this bike. Wrapping up this section of the video, I'm going to tell you this exhaust is awful. Why would they put something that looks like a pregnant guppy on their bike? I don't know, but I don't know if I want to change it. I mean, I do want to change it. I don't know if I will. It's like a $600 change out. And the problem is, the more I spend on this bike, the longer I feel compelled to keep it to get my monies back out of it. And I've already kept this bike about a year longer than I've intended to. I don't know. I'm putting myself into a bit of a trap there. But I do have two exhaust choices that I'm thinking about if I do change them out. Another thing I might do is use this as a mounting rack for a hard top case that matches these shad bags. Shad does make a top case, so I may put something on there just so I have some more storage and some more carrying capabilities. Oh, I almost forgot. The other thing I did was floorboards. I don't know if you can, how well you can see. There they are. I did floorboards because this actually came with just regular pegs, and I hate pegs. Absolutely hate them. Always feel like my feet are falling off, and that's not a fun feeling to have. There's other little knick-knack type of things I would do. I'd put on maybe a seat cover for, again, longer rides, because that seat is okay up to about 100 miles, and then you're just really wanting to get off of the bike. At least I am. So that is it. I guess let me show you one other thing before we close this part out. It's already getting kind of long for what I wanted to do. So there's how the dash actually looks. Let me go back to its. Okay, there. So that's the actual dash front page. It's got a regular clock on it. It's got the odometer, 28,313 is what I've put on it now. So that's like from the 12,000 that I came with. Yeah, that's 16 plus thousand miles in the 2 years I've had it versus the 6 years that someone else had it before me and only put on 12,000 miles. Pitiful, pitiful. Come on, guys, ride your bikes. And then, so from there, you go into trip A. I just filled up, so I've only got 8.5 miles on this tank so far. There's a trip B. That's pretty standard on all motors, for almost every vehicle anymore nowadays. Miles per gallon, this particular tank, I'm getting 49. I usually average around 50 to 52, not bad. If I didn't say so, it has a 3.7 gallon tank. The most I've ever put in was 3.3 gallons. Let's see, where am I at here? Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's your fuel bar. I don't usually drive by the fuel bar. I usually go by how many miles I've put on the bike per tank. And anyway, that is it, guys. Cockpit view, which you've seen. And that's it. I'm going to wrap this video up, part of the video up right here, and we're going to fade straight on into the ride portion. See you then. All right, so now we're on the bike. We're going to talk a little bit about how it feels. First thing I got to say is the engine braking on this machine is amazing. 90% of the time, engine braking will suffice for whatever slowing I need to have done. Like, the engine braking is really good. The brakes, very solid. Yes, it has ABS. ABS is one of those things you really don't want to rely on and use on the regular. You want to know how to brake properly. Suspension-wise, not great, honestly. It is a sport bike feeling suspension. Meaning I've not been on a sport bike, but I've been on a regular full-in cruiser. And this suspension is not a cruiser suspension. It's quite a bit stiffer. Like, I remember my first bike. It was a 2003 Vulcan 800 Classic, Kawasaki. And that was a super comfortable ride, even for as funky and used up as it was. It was more comfortable than this. No doubt about it. The next bike I had, a Vulcan 900 Classic. Again, very comfortable. This, not so much. You get used to it, you do what you can to make it more comfortable. Like in the previous segment, we talked about those floorboards, talked about the seat, but those have their limitations. This rear monoshock suspension is quite stiff. And I've not played with it, but I've already got an inch sag when I sit on it, roughly an inch. And so I don't know that I want to get any more saggy, you know. The responsiveness of the throttle, just amazing. I forgot to mention in the last segment, I have something, a snorkel type item installed underneath the gas tank to kind of take the twitchiness out of the throttle. For whatever reason, Kawasaki's throttle mapping for their fuel injection is very much an on or off kind of thing. So let me, I got no one behind me. Let me slow down to a lower gear. You can see it better. Second gear, and I'm coasting down, and if I just give the throttle just a little bit of a bump, nothing big, this thing is like a bucking bronco. It almost wants to throw you off the back. And if you're a new rider and not expecting that, that will absolutely terrify you. And it was worse without this snorkel. Now, throttle acceleration, bloody amazing. I'll show you that later, but cornering, again, this is a sport bike feel, and its cornering is absolutely beautiful. Oh, solid. Easy gripping. Now we can open it up. Third gear. Look at that. And the front brake applied. Slow it on down. And this is why you don't play in the country, guys. They got cattle out here, they got all kinds of stuff. And this kind of stuff will mess you up. There was one time I was coming up on a blind hill, and and as I came up over the top of it, I wasn't doing anything crazy, I wasn't being stupid, I was just riding my ride. And as I came up to the top of it, the whole road was just filled with cattle. I was just like, oh wow. That's actually 2 times that happened to me. So yeah, you think that being out in the country, you're safe from all kinds of problems and you can just ham it up. And it's wrong. Country roads are dangerous because of stuff like that, where they got dirt everywhere, or you know, like turns like this one coming up, where you see that dirt road coming down. You take this turn at a wrong line, and I'm being super ginger right now. See how that dirt, I don't know if you saw it, that dirt was coming out onto the road. You take a turn and you got your bike leaned when it's got the least amount of traction, and you hit that dirt, it'll wash out from underneath you real quick. But does this bike hold the road? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not a racer. I don't do anything stupid or crazy. I do like this particular road I'm on right now, and I will showcase it more later. But it's like one of the twistier roads that Kansas has to offer. So I take it as much as I can to feel that lean, to feel that how these tires hold the road and how the bike handles. And I don't know, well, hello, look at that. Country living, guys, right there. Lean into that turn. Woo, yeah. Feeling good. Oh yeah, oh yeah, so nice. You still there? All right, buddy. I'm gonna call you George. George is my new riding partner. He's gonna hang out with me for a while. I forgot what I was gonna say now. But yeah, when coming into these turns, I almost never have to use any brake if I'm coming in a little spicy, just because of how well the throttle, the engine braking works on this. Like there's 59, 60, and I can dial it down. There's some of those rocks. Yeah. No brakes, just did fine. Another thing that makes this thing more of a sport bike, I don't know if you can see this, but like I'm 55 right now in 4th gear, and I have all this rev range to go if I really want to get spicy on this thing. Most American V-twin cruisers, and even the Japanese cruisers, the proper V-twin cruisers, they're not going to rev past 6, man. That's all you get. And that's because they're a different bike built for different purposes. This again has that race bike feel to it, sport bike feel to it. And so you can dip it a little harder, get on it a little harder in the curves if you want. I mean, as high up, I mean, like these floorboards don't lower at all, right? They're the same level as the pegs. I said my knees sit a little higher than the tank, right? And so the lean angle on this bike is way more aggressive than a typical cruiser. So everything about this bike is basically more sportier oriented than it is cruiser oriented. But it feels good. This is a great urban bike. This is a great This has been a great daily driver bike for me going back and forth to work. You know, I drive a road similar to this to and from work, or I'm on the highway. And speaking of highway, this bike is very well mannered on the highway, surprisingly so. It'll do 75, 80 all day long, no problem. Well, at 120 miles at a time, it'll do it. Mileage. Speaking of mileage, when I'm running low key on this thing, like I am when I'm going to and from work, sixth gear, 55, 60 miles an hour, I can expect to see, on average, 50 to 52 miles to gallon. That takes me 2.5 times, 2.5 days to work. There and back, there and back, there. If I'm running the highway though, that drops to a not a max, but that drops to about 120 miles. So while it does it, you do pay a mileage penalty for it. The engine itself does like being in the higher RPMs. It runs its best, it's most solid there. You just lose the mileage. So mileage is important to me, so I generally don't run the engine that high. Unless I'm out playing like I am today, then you know what, mileage can go kick stones. I'm gonna have a little bit of fun. Roadkill, another country hazard. So I think that may take care of it for this video. I know this wasn't a proper review of the bike, but I'm not a professional. I haven't ridden bikes a long time. I don't have a bunch of different bikes under my belt to compare it to know really what I'm talking about. I can only tell you what I feel on this bike and if I think things are working the way they should or not. And I think they work fine. The thing about this bike is, I don't know if you can see the bug splatter on the windshield, but this is a working man's bike, right? It's not a princess, it's not a garage dweller. This bike gets left out in the weather. I do have a cover for it when I can get it covered in time. It's been rained on, it's been hailed on, it's been driven through god-awful bug storms as I'm going through work and back. And honestly, at the end of the day, this bike really does suit my needs for the here and now. I get on it, it just works. I check the tires once a week. I check the chain like once every 3 or 4 weeks. And I lube the chain regularly. I tighten the chain, you know, on a loose schedule, kind of whenever it needs it. I check the tires on a regular schedule. So, and I get on, twist the key, start it up and go. Maintenance wise, I've had to do very little to it. So I had a couple of oil changes, had tires, had vacuum line, and it's had, I dropped it, which I showed you the scar on the crash bar, doing some low speed maneuvering, and bent up the shift lever a little bit, and thought I did something to the transmission because it didn't want to shift right. Ended up being nothing. But the Kawasaki dealership at first didn't think it was nothing either. They actually broke open the case, changed everything out, and kind of found out they didn't have to. And because they did that, and this is a big shout out to my Kawasaki dealer, because they did that, they didn't charge me the $900 and some in parts and labor. They told me they should have caught it. They're the dealership. They should have known better. And so they didn't charge me for it. So the tranny has all new guts. But that really wasn't a necessary maintenance thing. That was just kind of a screw up. So overall, is this bike good? Yes. Is it great? Well, it depends on what you're using it for. If you're wanting to tour, no, it's not going to be great. It stays in the good category. If you're using it to run errands and just have a little bit of fun with on the weekends and go to work, then yeah, it's a great bike. I gotta say, it's a great bike for that. Is it beginner friendly? Sure, if you have a responsible throttle hand. It's only 499 pounds. It's at first it would feel like super crazy powerful, but you quickly grow into it. I did anyway. But like I said, this is my third bike. But coming off of the other two cruisers, this felt way more powerful than my previous two bikes. The way it makes power and delivers it to the wheel is far different than the previous V-twins that I had. Some may like it, some may not. At first I wasn't too thrilled about it, but I gotta say now I like it. It's just fun. But I didn't buy this bike for the fun factor. I really didn't. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the bike. I think a person that wants a low cost cruiser that has a bit of a sporty vibe to it that they want to use for short runs and daily driving, I think this bike is great for it. I think it's absolutely wonderful. With that, I think that's all I've got to say about it, which has been probably more than I needed to. I don't know how much of this I can edit out. Anyways, we'll see you guys later.